Hi, my name is Angelo Pardo, and this is my presentation on brain-based learning. So the expert who visited my classroom for a day observed my drawing lesson for an after-school enrichment program, and the following is a description of his observations. Mr. Pardo's class was short, about an hour. There were at most 15 students ranging from grades 3 to 5. The desks in the classroom were all sprawled out, so Mr. Pardo took a few minutes to rearrange some of the desks. After handing out school supplies like paper and pencils, Mr. Pardo drew on a chalkboard and asked the students to follow his instructions step by step. Once in a while he would walk around the classroom to see his students' progress. Some would interrupt him with a question or ask permission to sharpen a pencil or go use the bathroom. There were a few students who remained talkative during the lesson, which prompted Mr. Pardo to stop drawing and address the situation 3 or 4 times during that 1 hour. The expert, upon seeing some frustration on my face, offered some suggestions on improving my lesson. He suggested implementing 4 specific brain-based learning elements into the 1-hour curriculum. The first one is approach, which refers to left brain versus right brain preferences for whole brain learning. What this means is that there are several learning styles that students exhibit, and no two students learn the same way. But instead of focusing on just one brain preference, focus on whole brain learning, because the truth is we use most of our brain most of the time anyway. The expert suggested a right brain dominant learning style, yet continuing to incorporate step-by-step instructions and logic. This approach is best especially when the lesson is only an hour long and there is a diverse group of students, with some who are more easily distracted than others. The next is priming, which refers to exposing students to content before it is covered. What this means is pre-exposure to content helps the brain develop conceptual maps, and it also provides the brain with an overview of the new lesson before commencing. The expert suggested depicting the big picture first, followed by details later. During the lesson, alter between showing the big picture and the details. Also ask questions about what they know about the subject beforehand in order to engage them in the upcoming lesson. The next element is novelty, which refers to keeping things unique and challenging. What this means is the stimulus must be new, challenging, meaningful, and be able to provide feedback in order to achieve an enrichment effect in students. The expert suggested creating a multi-sensory environment, and if it isn't possible, increase social interaction and group work. Encourage students to explore new ideas, offer choices to make their learning meaningful, and provide positive feedback and celebrate accomplishments. Finally, he talked about motivation, which refers to intrinsic versus extrinsic motivators. What this means is motivation can arise from within, intrinsic, or be externally reinforced, extrinsic. Most students that attend an after-school program probably have an intrinsic motivation to draw and to learn how to draw. Reinforce intrinsic motivation and stay away from extrinsic rewards, because students will see it more of playing the game rather than getting something out of learning, and in this case, rewards could be detrimental. The expert suggested eliciting intrinsic motivation by meeting learners' needs, providing a sense of control and choice, engaging curiosity, sharing success stories, increasing frequency of feedback, providing the hope of success, and modeling the joy of learning through excitement and enthusiasm. So I considered his suggestions and decided on a plan of action to implement these strategies into my own curriculum, and I borrowed some strategies from well-known art programs that are franchises across the United States, and I'm borrowing Young Rembrandt's as an example. And in their approach, Young Rembrandt's teaches a creative right brain activity using a left brain sequential methodology. Engaging both sides of the brain in learning activities means all children can participate successfully, and using left and right brain strategies while teaching also helps growing children develop both sides of their brain at a critical time in their development, resulting in whole brain learning. So the approach I would take would be to allow free form and creative ideas with step-by-step instruction, and I will not prohibit self-expression but still stick to the curriculum. The next one is Abracadoodle, and I'm pulling their example for priming. They talk about their creative drawing classes for kids, where they take drawing instruction for children to higher levels in pursuit of originality. Our unique drawing classes help students to learn valuable drawing techniques that can apply to their own creations. Children practice and develop new skills. They learn about specific techniques. They explore artist styles, cultures, unique art forms, and vocabulary. So in priming, I would show examples related to the subject that we would be drawing in the form of paintings, pictures, art history, and related images, and then also ask the students questions about experiences, if they've ever seen this art piece before or if they've ever drawn something like this before. The next example is pulling from Painting with a Twist, and it will be applied to the novelty aspect of brain-based learning. Their concept pairs instructional art with friends, wine, and a lively instructor to produce individual works of art. Each artwork is conceptualized and executed by the instructors with the idea of being an easy-to-follow piece of art for the inexperienced painter. The artwork ranges from landscapes, abstracts, iconic buildings, florals, and the like. And in novelty, I plan to teach from an iPad and use a projector to project my drawings where everybody could see them. This allows me to go around the room and offer feedback while continuing to instruct. And I will also try to change the seating order or choose a different environment, as well as use music to set the mood for the lesson. Obviously, I won't be able to use wine, but these types of novel elements would be sufficient for a 1-hour drawing class. And then finally, for kids art, I've pulled something to be applied to motivation. They state that their art-enriched workouts are packed full of challenging design projects and fun surprises intended to motivate students at this particular age level and to push creative potential to the max. After participating in kids art, confidence grows and skills develop that carry over into other areas of study. Soon students find themselves trying things they never would have attempted before, and I think all this is related to more intrinsic motivation than extrinsic. Seeing that these students have an intrinsic motivation to learn to draw, I want to give more feedback instead of praise, yet show interest towards the students' needs, or offer more choices in the art medium to express their creativity, or engage their strong emotions through the telling of stories, like where the original artist who drew this came from. That concludes my presentation on brain-based learning, and I hope you enjoyed it. Thank you.